Welcome to the Drama-Free Living Podcast. It's Dennis and Lisa McIntee, and we have just finished Thanksgiving, and we're coming into the holiday season. And what we thought would be fun is to talk about our relationship with time and your relationship with time. And people tend to get mucked up when they think about time because they don't understand the right relationship. So we want to walk through the next couple podcasts on past, present, future, and what the purposes are. So today we want to dive into the past, and I think having a great understanding really helps you know what to do. Because if you know the purpose of something, then you know how to extract the value of it. And what we've discovered and what we believe is that the purpose of the past, the real purpose of the past, is to inform and instruct you. Now, people that don't understand this, they think about the past mistakes, the shame, the regret, the embarrassment. And when you kind of get that, it kind of mucks you up, Lisa.
It does. It
right?
absolutely does.
And so, if you don't know the purpose, then you're not going to extract the value. And when we know the purpose of the past, that's when it can instruct us, and we can really learn from it and allow it to shape us into the person we've created it to be.
100%. And when we were thinking about Christmas and all things Christmas and our relationship with time, the first thing that popped in our heads was the whole concept of the movie A Christmas Carol, or the theatrical performance. And that is a really good visual picture of our relationship with time, our past, our present, and our future.
Right. Scrooge had this relationship with past, present, future.
He totally had.
And we all have a relationship that way.
And it was the Christmas Carol just really gives us the opportunity to think about, okay, if we could go back in time, if we could have the ghost of Christmas past visit us, what would it be showing us? And how does that define who we are today? And it takes this journey for him through his childhood and everything that he's gone through up until now, and kind of shows him all of the good and some of the things that he needed to be kind of concerned about. And that brings us to how we can learn from our past and learn from our mistakes.
Really learn from our mistakes. Now, Lisa, before we do this, we actually have a gift for everybody this holiday season. So a lot of you have already maybe purchased the Emotionally Intelligent course in $297 on the website. But what we wanted to do for the holidays is actually offer a bundle and give you, if you purchase Emotionally Intelligent, we're going to give you drama-free relationships. And they're the 8 strategies of how to connect with anybody, and especially at holiday season, relationships are important. And we're also going to throw in drama-free productivity. Now, listen, maybe you have already bought the Emotionally Intelligent course. So if you've already bought it and you're like, hey, I didn't get that bundle, I can get those extra that's during the holiday season, listen, just send us an email and we'll share that with you. So there are 2 extra courses that we're just going to bundle together because we want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And the great news, listen, no matter what time of the year you're listening to, if you're listening to this podcast, just click the link and we'll make it happen for you, because that's what we want to be. We want to be big givers. So let's kind of walk through some of our ideas about this whole idea of how do you use the past, right? Because if you're not careful, you don't learn from your mistakes. And what I've discovered is that when I get angry at myself, like when I'm mad at myself, when I become defensive, then I can't learn. It's like I just stop the learning automatically because I'm so busy just beating myself up. So think about your past, right? The past is there to inform you and instruct you. So here's what really helps me, Lisa, is this idea that, who I was last year, that was the best I could do.
It was the best you could do with the information that you had.
Absolutely. And now this year, I'm a different person, right? I've learned some things, I've developed, and I can make better decisions. And even think about it, you can play this game today, right? It's like yesterday. Yesterday I was doing the best I could with what I had. But, Lisa, today I'm different. Today I'm somebody new. I've learned from yesterday, and I've taken those experiences and learned from them. So this whole idea of becoming defensive, because a lot of times when people receive feedback, criticism related to their mistakes, it's like this defensiveness can really become a barrier to learning.
And also when sometimes people bring up your past to you, you can become defensive about it. But when you have a good relationship with time with your past, you don't have to show that defensiveness because you've already got a good relationship with it. And you already know that my past, that was the best I could do at the time. Well,
and another way to look at it is that the past is just information.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's not a judgment against you. It's not a value judgment. This was information. This was the behavior, and now I can take it and now I can use it. So this whole idea of being defensive. And And I think with all of us, we all have events. And Lisa, I was thinking about the roundtable just a couple weeks ago. We just finished some of our dinners with roundtable participants. And I don't know if you remember, but we were at this restaurant, and I thought about it as that restaurant, that dinner at that restaurant was really one event, but we had 15 different experiences.
Yes.
We had the 12 participants, and we had our team participants, and then we even had the waitress. And the waitress afterwards came and said, "Wow, that really blessed me what you guys talked about." And I was like, wow, she was even in the event too, but one event and all these experiences. And who determines your experience? You're the one that determines it's only your experience and only you know it. And so it's this idea that we all have experiences, the thing that's common to all of us, and we can take that experience and we can learn, or we can take that experience and beat ourselves up. And it really is our choice. And what I've discovered is that when I stopped beating myself up, my learning started to accelerate. And so that's really the key is we want you to accelerate your learning. And the way to do it is to realize, hey, my past, the purpose for my past is for me to take these mistakes and actually learn from them. And so this whole idea of not becoming defensive, because when you're not defensive, it's like you're open to ideas, you're open to thoughts. And another idea is this whole idea of guilt and shame kind of keeps you from learning from your mistakes.
And what's kind of interesting about that is when we are defensive or when we have guilt and shame about our past, it's highly likely that there is something in there that we have framed in a negative viewpoint. So if there's something in your past that you are defensive about, or you have guilt and shame about, or any of those negative emotions, then it's highly likely you have framed something in the negative in not a way for you to learn. And that's why it's pulling up these negative, self-abasing emotions today.
Well, and sometimes when you have pain from an experience, it just means you haven't extracted all the learning. And we've talked about this before, and we won't offer it today. But if you'd like it, you can go back to previous podcast, or maybe we'll put it in the show notes there. But this whole idea of the learning matrix, right? You take your past, what worked, what didn't work, what do you do now? And in that way, you extract the value from every experience. And I think that's really the key to learning. But you can't do this if you're shaming yourself, if you're mad. And so we just want to encourage you, listen, your past is just information. The purpose of your past is just to inform and instruct you. And then continuing to have this self-awareness. Because I think sometimes we don't learn when we lack self-awareness. And this is really recognizing and understanding the root causes of your mistakes, right? It's like, and you do so good at this, Lisa. It's like, oh, why did I do this? You just have this innate ability. I'm just amazed at how you do this, where you take an experience and you just break it down. And you really come up to the root cause.
Well, and honestly, that's from a lot of practice of doing things like our trigger identifier, different things like that, of sitting down and figuring out, okay, this happened and my initial reaction was this. Why is that? What is it about it? And just being able to unpack it quickly. But it's like muscle memory. I've done it so often that I can do it quickly now.
Well, and I think it's sort of this ability to make distinctions and create connections, because learning is really in connections. It's like, and you have this ability to take, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my hands, right? But I have my left hand up. It's like you can take this connection in my left hand and this idea in my right hand. You make a connection between these two ideas that it just rewires your brain. But if you're so like you have these emotions of anger and frustration, you kind of block yourself up from even doing that. So we just want to encourage you to listen. The past is extremely valuable because you can learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. And then part of the past, one of the benefits of the past is it allows us to celebrate achievements.
Yeah.
And it allows us to just kind of give ourselves a good attaboy. You know, we acknowledge and celebrating our accomplishments, our big accomplishments, and even our small accomplishments. And when we take the time to think about what's happened in the past, it just really, it boosts our confidence. It makes us feel really good about ourselves. We're like, yeah, I could handle that. Another thing is that it can inspire us. It can inspire us. It inspires those around us when we verbalize an accomplishment. It could be an accomplishment with the team. It could be an accomplishment in your family, and it's something that you bring it up, and everyone's like, yeah, wow, I was really proud of that. really proud of that thing that happened. And because sometimes things happen and it just kind of sucks the wind right out of you.
Well, and Lisa, I love a practice that we do every day is that sometime towards the end of the day, we'll ask each other, well, what are 3 things you're happy about or proud about? And honestly, like, I know you get this way. For sure, I get this way. As you ask me that, and I just like, I'm frustrated. I'm like, nothing. In my brain, I want to say nothing. Right?
Really?
I do sometimes, yeah. But
I always can think of something that I'm happy about.
Well, you know what? We all have our challenges, right? We all have our different challenges. But it's such a great exercise because it causes me to really pull from it, because it's this idea is that you always find what you focus on. And if you focus on the wins, you're going to find the wins. And really, it's this idea of building confidence. And I think as leaders, the thing that they have to protect is they have to protect their own self-confidence.
Right, absolutely. And that actually goes into a story that I was going to tell about, so this week, everything was going great. Things at home are going great. Things at work are going great. And then all of a sudden, my iPhone just decides to not cooperate. And I'm thinking, what happened?
We should have Androids.
And no, iPhones, thanks.
Okay.
No, but I'm thinking, gosh, what happened here? It just started to quit. And I thought, did I get it wet? What happened? And I make a Genius Bar appointment. And then I'm calling up our cell phone provider and kind of working with them and trying to get the new phone. And then I've got it connected with my computer and we're downloading all the different software and updates and restoring, and nothing is working. And then I'm on the phone, I don't know, hours and hours with our cell phone provider because I get the new phone and then it's not working. And it about won. I think it just about won.
It didn't, though.
And
I noticed. I saw it didn't win.
And it was a failed logic board on my iPhone. There was nothing. It was completely out of my control. I had no control over it. There was nothing I could do to make this better. It was none of my fault. And we go through life sometimes, and life just gets you. Something happens and you're being nice to everybody and you're working your butt off, and something happens that's completely out of your control. Your logic board fails and you're stuck and you're down for 3 days, and it keeps beating you down and beating you down. And we got switched off to, try to call them to get it connected, and somehow I got connected to collections, and then another call, somehow I got connected, like I was going to transfer my number from a different cell phone company to this one. And
I think some of those people, their logic board failed too. As you're trying to talk to them, I think, their logic board has failed too.
But it was just a miscommunication, and the switchboard was having issues and things like that. And it just about got me. And we were in the car, and you asked me, you were like, "Okay, well, what's something that you're really happy about? Let's celebrate some achievements," is what you were really saying when you said, what's something that you're just kind of thankful for. And I don't know, I pulled one of them. I mean, it was like, well, the sun is shining.
With a little hint of sarcasm.
No, there was no sarcasm, because when the sun is shining, it's a big deal to me. The sun is shining. And I'm trying to think, something else was, another thing was I did not lose it with the person from the cell phone provider, because awesome. I really wanted to lose it. And I thought that's something I can be really happy about. And then, it was 3 or 4, and you kept saying, well, what else? What else? What else? And as we were going through and we were celebrating the achievements from the past, it just began to inspire me. And celebrating achievements inspires us. And it also fosters a sense of pride, because I thought, you know what? I did not lose it with the cell phone provider.
And here's where it gets down to, like, when you do it teams and just so you get in this habit, is you're always more productive when you're proud and inspired, right? When I'm depressed and discouraged, I don't make the day as productive, right? And you can use the past any way you want to use it, right? The past is your property. And that's the thing that people don't realize, is that when you don't own your own past and go, this is my past, this is my experience, I own it, then you can't use it when it's always like somebody else's fault or blaming or those kind of things. So you did really good with that. It's like, hey, this is what I learned from it. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And so celebrating our achievements, I mean, also it acknowledges our sense of progress. So in that situation, when I'm talking to the cell phone provider, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I probably would have let them have it because
I let them have it last week.
I think you did let them have it. But I thought, okay, so that celebrating our achievements and then the past, that just showed, wow, what a sense of progress. What was going on?
Well, and the thing about it is that is a great motivator. People feeling a sense of progress. When I feel a sense of progress, I'm more motivated. And motivation is an inside job. And when you own these things and own these wins, it's like you're owning your own motivation.
And that is also what celebrating achievements does, is it reinforces positive behavior and positive strategies.
I love it, Lisa.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to kind of talk about that because in my mind, you're a master at that. You're probably a little bit more skilled than I am, and I'm coming up to your level pretty quick. But it is true. So we're talking about learning from our mistakes, celebrating our achievements, and then, past it also informs our decision making, right? Because even like our past mistakes and successes, they provide these valuable lessons that really inform your choices today. It's like, what did you learn yesterday that you can apply today? What did you learn last year? Because if I didn't learn anything from the past, I've just wasted it. And here's what's interesting, Lisa, and I think we've talked about this before, is do you learn more from a book or from an experience?
I would say both.
Right. Well, you learn, right. And the difference is with the experience, because you do learn more from both, but typically people learn more from experiences because they have an emotional connection, right? I can read, don't put your hand on the hot stove, don't put your hand on the hot stove, but man, there's nothing like taking a hand and putting it on the hot stove.
But I would also say that, to be devil's advocate, I would say that if you sit down to read and you actually take time to process it, or maybe a course, and you actually sit down to take time to process it and apply it, you can learn just as much because you can develop those emotional connections.
Because if you have the same experience, right? If you take it and make it an experience. But when it's just head knowledge, not as helpful as it is heart knowledge, right? When things kind of get down in there. So this whole idea, and here's what's even more interesting, is you typically learn more from painful experiences than you from pleasurable experiences. In theory, you tend to learn because there's a deeper level of connection emotionally to it.
If you learn from it, because I think painful experiences can tend to scar you, and you can put a negative meaning to it,
100%.
and it can become a trauma.
Right, and the reason it can
become an anchor.
Right, and the reason that it becomes that is because you don't know the right meaning to put to it. And when people put different meanings to things that almost don't go together, is like I'll just say this on the podcast, like even as like I kind of see my therapist, it's like, I've put wrong meanings to experiences that have kind of like mucked me up.
Well, I wouldn't say so much right and wrong meanings. I would say helpful and beneficial meanings, and incomplete, harming, or negative inducing.
Yeah. And this whole
meanings.
And this is really good because I think in this way, it's like we're using the past to really become a powerful agent. And here's what I think. If I'm going to have a painful experience, I better get a payoff. Right? If I'm going through the pain, man, that pain better have a payoff. But we're all responsible for that payoff. Because your past is your own property. And you sort of deal with it that way. It's like, hey, this is my property. It's my past. It's my experience. So in that way, you can learn from it. And then this whole idea of informing your decision making is, you have past relationships, right? You have interaction with family, friends, and peers that really shape who you are. And so thinking about like the different relationships and just how powerful they are and what we've learned from them. Right. Well, one thing that we've done in times past is we'll be out to dinner with somebody and we'll come back, in just you and I driving back in the car, and we'll talk about, hey, what did we admire about that couple? Right. And we'll come up with this list, and we always say, okay, well, how can we integrate that into our lives? We're like, wow, they were really open and vulnerable, and they shared a lot of personal stories. And we've had this happen where we were like, we didn't share anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we thought, okay, how do we become more open and vulnerable?
What are those character traits that they have that we think we would like to increase in our lives?
Yeah, and so continue to think about these social influences that we have, and then our own experiences. which are really super powerful. They really inform your decision making. So kind of drawing from the past and going, okay, you know what? My past is not there to have me live in regret, have me live in shame, have me live in, disappointment, but it's really there to instruct me. And I think when you really understand the value and the purpose of the past, you extract what it's there to give you. So, Lisa, for you, this has been fun. Mm-hmm. What's a couple takeaways for you?
I think one of my takeaways is I'm still trying to figure out if I really like the show The Christmas Carol or not. Because I have really some conflicting emotions about it. On one hand, I'm really happy that he was able to take studying from his life and turn it for good. But the pain that was involved in that, and the pain that was involved in, we all are becoming something.
Yeah.
Whether we realize it or not. And the person that I am today is completely different than the person that I was 10 years ago. And am I a better version of myself or a worse version? And like in The Christmas Carol, he had become a worse version of himself. And so that's just a little bit painful seeing the negative progression. Yeah. And so I'm still trying to decide what I think of that because it's true life lessons, and I appreciate that value.
Yeah. Well, and the great news is that he transformed. And the greatest power is this power to become. I don't have to be the same person. And, I always think that I make my life. And people can get happy about that. They can also be sad about that. But if you're sad about that, here's the good news, okay? If you've made your life, you can remake your life. It's possible to remake your life. You don't have to stay the same. Lisa, for me, the big takeaway is this whole idea about celebrating achievements.
Yeah.
Is I'm really working better, more and more, how can I celebrate achievements? And really, I know we do it at the end of every day, but I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 times during the day, just looking back over the last couple hours and asking myself, okay, what am I proud about
Absolutely.
right now? This idea of continuing to build confidence, because I know anytime an area of my life that I procrastinate in is typically an area I don't have confidence in. And the reason I don't have confidence is I'm not real good at looking back at my past and almost like measuring from my past, not against my future, but measuring from my past and going, you know what? And in this way, it's like we compare ourselves with ourselves. I don't have to compare myself with anybody else. I just have to compare Dennis to who Dennis was a year ago, who Dennis was 10 years ago. And in that way, continuing to compare myself against myself is maybe like a more accurate measure because only I know my experiences.
Absolutely. But another reason, we procrastinate because of our negative relationship with that. But sometimes it's just a lack of knowledge or information.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's where we don't have confidence in it, maybe not because we framed something negatively, but maybe we don't have confidence in it because that's an area and a skill that we just need to increase in.
Yeah, it's fabulous. So listen, if you have not purchased Emotionally Intelligent for the holidays, here's what we want to do, okay? It's $297 on the website, and we're going to give you a special page there that actually will offer you drama-free relationships, which is, I think, $100 value. And also, what's the other one?
Drama-free productivity.
Drama-free productivity, where we really talk about how do you navigate your relationship with time. So we kind of dive deeper into some of the ideas that we're talking about. And we're giving both of these products free
as a bonus with Emotionally Intelligent.
Just to say happy holidays. And listen, if you have already purchased it and you're going, well, hey, I want that, just shoot us an email, okay? And we'll make that available to you because we don't want anybody to miss out. But, we don't want to say Merry Christmas, and we just want to do everything we can to really serve you and be a blessing to you. And so the next couple of podcasts, we're going to be talking about present, future, our relationship with time as we kind of come into the new year. So Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.